Chosen one, stop. Before you scroll past this, I need you to feel something for just 10 seconds. Something lifted off you recently, and you don't fully understand why. Not because your circumstances changed, not because the bills disappeared, not because the people who hurt you finally apologized. None of that happened. Yet something that sat on your chest for months, maybe years, is no longer crushing you the same way it was. You woke up recently and the dread wasn't as loud. The wound that used to bleed at the slightest touch barely stings now. The person you couldn't stop thinking about? You realized 3 days ago you hadn't thought about them once. The silence that used to feel like punishment now feels like peace. That is not coincidence. That is not medication. That is not time healing wounds on its own schedule. That is heaven removing something it was finally done using. For years you carried weight that was never yours to carry permanently. You wore it like an iron vest every morning, strapping it back on without even questioning it anymore. That's what invisible bondage does. It becomes so familiar, you mistake it for identity. But the 27th of March 2026 is not just a date on a calendar. For some of you, and you know exactly who you are, this date marks the beginning of a spiritual aftershock. The kind that doesn't destroy, the kind that settles you, like fog lifting from a Jersey highway just before sunrise. Like a room that's been sealed shut for 3 winters, finally getting its first window cracked open. Here is the shocking truth nobody tells you. The lightness you feel is not weakness leaving, it is bondage losing its grip. And if you don't understand what just shifted, you are in danger of walking right back into it. By the end of this message, you will understand why God allowed that pressure in the first place, why the silence lasted as long as it did, and the one dangerous mistake that chosen ones make right after this lighter season begins a mistake that can pull the weight right back down. Don't you dare leave halfway. If this already feels like it found you at exactly the right moment, go to the comments right now and type, "I feel it lifting," because what comes next changes everything. Let me ask you something nobody has asked you in a long time. When was the last time you actually felt light? Not happy, not distracted, not busy enough to forget the pain. Actually light, like nothing was pressing down on your shoulders, like your chest had room to breathe all the way to the bottom. You're trying to remember right now, and it's taking longer than it should. That tells you everything, because somewhere along the way, and you didn't even notice when it happened, carrying became your normal. The weight didn't arrive all at once. It built slowly, layer by layer, year by year, until one morning you woke up and heaviness was just your baseline, your default setting, the thing you woke up inside every single day, and you stopped calling it suffering, because suffering sounds dramatic, and you were functional, you were showing up, you were handling it. But chosen one functional is not the same as free. Let's talk about what you were actually carrying, because it wasn't just one thing. It never is. There was the grief you never fully processed. Not just death though, maybe that too, but the grief of dreams that quietly died without a funeral, friendships that faded without explanation, a version of your future you had to silently bury because life went a different direction. You didn't fall apart. You adapted. You kept moving. But that grief never left. It just went underground. Then there were the prayers. The ones you prayed with everything in you. The ones where you got on your knees at 2 a.m. and begged God for an answer, and the ceiling stayed silent, and the situation didn't change. And eventually, not because you lost faith, but because your heart was protecting itself, you stopped praying about certain things quite so loudly. Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you." But what happens when you've been casting so long? You start to wonder if anyone is catching. That question alone, that secret, private question, was its own kind of weight. And then there were the people. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The ones you stayed loyal to long after the relationship stopped giving life. The conversations that left you emptier than before they started. The family member whose voice alone triggered tension in your body. The friend you kept showing up for, who never quite showed up for you. You stayed. Because that's who you are. Because loyalty is written into your bones. Because you don't quit on people. But chosen one, there is a difference between loyalty and load-bearing. And for too long, you were the wall holding up a ceiling that wasn't yours to hold. Then there was what was happening inside your own mind. The overthinking. That relentless, exhausting loop of what if, and what's coming, and what did that mean, and what happens if it falls apart. Bracing. Always bracing. Like your nervous system decided the safest way to survive was to expect the worst before it arrived. You weren't anxious because you were weak. You were vigilant because life had taught you that relief doesn't last. That when things go quiet, something is usually about to break. That kind of internal alertness maintained for years is not a mood. It is weight. Heavy, invisible, bone-deep weight. And underneath all of it, the grief. The people, the mind, there was something spiritual pressing on you, a resistance you couldn't name, a heaviness that showed up specifically during prayer, a sense that something was watching, delaying, blocking, like you were walking through life wearing winter clothes in the middle of spring, overdressed for a season that had already changed. Hebrews 12:1 says, "Lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us." Every weight. Not just sin, not just failure. Weight, the accumulation, the residue, the things that slow the soul without announcing themselves. Matthew 11:28. Jesus didn't say, "Come to me, all you who have sinned." He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened." Weary, burdened. He saw it on people then. He sees it on you now. Some of you were not weak. You were overloaded. There is a catastrophic difference. And heaven knows it, even when no one around you did. You learned. Now I need you to hear something that most people will never tell you. Because what I am about to say is going to reframe everything you went through. Not to minimize it, not to rush past the pain, but to show you something that was hiding inside the hardest season of your life. That pressure you survived. It was not only the enemy attacking you, some of it was God forming you. Stay with me, because this is where everything changes. You spent months, maybe years, interpreting that heavy season as punishment, as rejection, as divine silence that meant God had turned his face away from you. You prayed and heard nothing. You waited and saw nothing move. You held on while everything around you whispered, "Let go. It's over." You missed it. And the cruelest part? You started to believe it. But chosen one, let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. What if the silence was not abandonment, but assignment? What if the delay was not denial, but design? What if the pressure was not God pushing you away, but God pressing something permanent into you? Joseph did not rot in that Egyptian prison by accident. Genesis 50:20, what men meant for evil, God meant for good. But here is what nobody preaches about Joseph. He spent years in that cell. Years. Not days, not weeks. Years in darkness before a single door opened. And when elevation came, it came suddenly in a single morning. But the character that handled that elevation, that was forged in the silence of the cell. The prison was not the punishment. The prison was the preparation. David hid in caves before he ever wore a crown. He ran from Saul. He lived like a fugitive. He wrote his most powerful psalms not from a palace, but from a hiding place. Psalm 57, he wrote it in a cave. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens, not in comfort. Because God was not building David's resume in those caves. God was building David's roots. And you cannot understand what God built in you during your cave season until you feel the storm that would have destroyed the old version of you pass right over you without touching what matters. That is exactly what is happening right now. Elijah collapsed under a juniper tree and told God he was done, finished, depleted. And what did God do? Did he shame him? Did he lecture him? 1 Kings 19. God sent an angel, let him sleep, fed him, and said, "Arise and eat. The journey is too great for you." No condemnation, just provision, just restoration. Because God knew the exhaustion was not weakness. It was the evidence of a man who had given everything. And chosen one, your exhaustion during that season? That was not failure. That was evidence. Now, here is the moment I need you to sit with. The pressure did not just expose what was wrong around you, it revealed what God was building within you. Discernment you did not have 3 years ago. You have it now. You can read a room in 5 minutes. You can sense a spirit before a person finishes their first sentence. That did not come from a book. That came from surviving betrayal up close. Emotional restraint you could not maintain before. You have it now. Things that used to detonate you, you watch them pass like traffic. Not because you stopped caring, because you stopped being controlled. A dependence on God that is no longer theoretical. You have it now. Not the Sunday morning kind. The 3 a.m. on your knees with nowhere else to go kind. The kind that does not let go because it has learned that God is the only thing that never moved. Clarity about who belongs in your life and who does not. You have it now. And it cost you relationships you mourned deeply. But chosen one, some connections had to be released, so the weight of them stopped pulling you under. A threshold of inner stability that cannot be manufactured, purchased, or performed. You have it now. And you did not get it from motivation videos or morning routines. You got it from surviving what should have broken you and discovering something in you refused to shatter. That is not luck. That is formation. The furnace does not destroy gold. It removes everything that is not gold. And when it finishes its work and chosen one, that furnace has finished its work in you. What remains is not what you were before the fire. What remains is what was always true about you, purified down to its core. That is why life feels lighter now. Not because the world got easier, because you got truer. And that is exactly why the lesson that required the pressure has started settling into your spirit. But there is a second reason. The heaviness is lifting. And it has everything to do with what you are no longer entertaining: the voices, the rooms, the relationships, and the inner conversations that were quietly bleeding you dry. If you survived a season that permanently changed how you see people, go to the comments right now and type, "I'm not who I was." Because what I am about to show you next will explain exactly why some people in your life suddenly feel distant and why that distance is not loss. It is God clearing the path. Now I need you to stay with me here, because what I'm about to tell you, most people never hear. And the ones who do hear it, it changes the entire way they understand what's happening in their life right now. That lightness you felt when you woke up this morning, it is not only healing, it is also separation. Something is being removed from your life, quietly, surgically, without your permission and without your awareness. And God did not ask you to vote on it. Some things did not leave loudly, they left quietly. No argument, no confrontation, no dramatic ending, just a slow, silent withdrawal of access. And you didn't even notice until you realized the weight was gone. Think about that for a moment. The fear that used to grip you at 3 inches the morning, loosening. The opinion of that one person that used to control your entire mood, mattering less. The urgency that used to drive every single decision you made, fading. The need to explain yourself to people who were never truly listening, evaporating. That is not you becoming cold. That is not you becoming disconnected. That is God removing expired access from things that have been feeding off your energy for years. Not every deliverance comes with thunder. Some come as disinterest. Read that again. Let it settle. Some of you have been waiting for a dramatic deliverance. You've been waiting for the burning bush. You've been waiting for the Red Sea to split. But God already moved. He just moved quietly. And the sign wasn't a miracle in the sky. The sign was that you stopped caring about what used to destroy you. The Bible says in John 15:2, "Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, he cuts it, not because it's dead, because it's ready for more." Pruning doesn't feel like promotion. It feels like loss. It feels like something being taken. But the gardener knows what looks like cutting is actually breathing room. That branch did not fail. It graduated, and chosen one, so did you. Now here is where it gets serious, because this is where many chosen ones make the most dangerous mistake of this entire season. When the old pressure lifts, they mistake peace for emptiness. They feel the quiet and think something is wrong. They feel the distance from certain people and think they're becoming isolated. They feel less driven by old ambitions and think they're losing their purpose. So what do? They go back. They reopen the door God just closed. They re-engage the relationship that was quietly released. They resurrect the anxiety, because at least anxiety felt familiar. At least the chaos felt like proof they were alive. This is exactly what happened to Israel. God delivered them from Egypt with signs and wonders. 10 plagues, a parted sea, bread from heaven. And what did they do 40 days into the wilderness? They said, "We want to go back." They said, "At least in Egypt we had food." They had been slaves for 400 years, and they missed their chains because their chains felt like home. Chosen one, do not be Israel in the wilderness. Do not go back to what God just separated you from, simply because peace feels unfamiliar. Think about Lot leaving Sodom. The angels grabbed his hand, literally grabbed it, and said, "Run, do not look back." And his wife looked back, not out of rebellion, out of attachment. She couldn't release what she had been separated from, and that attachment cost her everything. Some of you are standing at the edge of your own Sodom right now, and heaven is saying the same thing it said to Lot: do not look back. One of the holiest signs of healing is that what once controlled you no longer excites you. If that old temptation feels boring now, that is God, not coincidence. If that relationship that used to consume you feels distant, that is pruning, not punishment. If the version of you that needed constant validation feels like a stranger, that is resurrection, not loss. The static is gone. You know what I mean. Like a radio that's been picking up interference for years and suddenly the signal is clean. You can finally hear clearly, not because the world got quieter, because God cleared your frequency. Your old shoes don't fit anymore, and some of you keep trying to force them on, squeezing back into identities that expired, roles that belonged to a broken version of you, relationships that only worked when you were wounded. The reason it feels quieter is because not everything that left was meant to be mourned. Some things deserved a funeral. Some things deserved a celebration. And chosen one, you need to know the difference before you spend one more day grieving what God intentionally removed. Do not confuse peace with loss. Some of you are not losing your life. You are losing your chains. And the question you need to sit with right now is this: are you willing to stay free? Or will you walk back into the familiar prison because at least there you knew the walls? Because what God is building next requires a version of you that has never lived in that prison before. And that version is exactly who is emerging right now. Now I need you to lean in close, because what I'm about to tell you is the part most people never hear. And it may be the most important thing you receive today. You finally feel lighter. The pressure eased, the weight shifted. Heaven moved something off your chest that had been sitting there so long you forgot what breathing freely felt like. And right now, at this exact moment, you are in the most dangerous season of your spiritual life. Not because the enemy got stronger, but because peace feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar things make people run straight back to what almost destroyed them. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. You get 3 good days in a row, no anxiety spiral, no emotional ambush, no 3 a.m. ceiling staring. And instead of receiving it, instead of letting God's gift simply be a gift, something inside you whispers, "This is too quiet. Something must be wrong." So you pick up the phone. You text the person God already removed. You revisit the conversation that nearly broke you. You crack the door back open on the very chapter heaven already closed. And just like that, the weight comes back. Not because God withdrew, but because you walked back into the room he pulled you out of. Proverbs 26:11 says it plainly. As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats his foolishness. That sounds harsh, but God didn't write that to shame you. He wrote it to save you. Because chosen ones, seasoned, faithful, praying chosen ones, do this more than anyone else. You know why? Because for many of you, especially those of you who have been walking this road for 40, 50, 60 years, stress became your spiritual language. Struggle felt like faithfulness. Carrying pain felt like endurance. And rest felt like laziness, like you hadn't earned it yet. You spent decades equating your worth with your suffering. And now that the suffering has eased, something deep in your bones doesn't trust it. So you manufacture tension. You reopen old wounds, seeking closure from people who were never going to give it to you. You explain your growth to people who are committed, absolutely committed to misunderstanding you. You force action because stillness feels like you've stopped moving with God. But chosen one, hear me clearly. Stillness is not stagnation. Stillness is preparation. Elijah ran from Jezebel, collapsed under a tree, and said, "Lord, I've had enough." And God didn't push him back into battle. God let him sleep. Fed him, let him sleep again. 1 Kings 19. The God of the universe said, "Rest first. The journey is too great for you." That story is in your Bible for a reason. Because God has always known that his most faithful servants are often the most exhausted ones. And sometimes the most sacred thing he can do for a chosen one is let them stop. But here's what nobody warns you about. When you finally stop, when that iron vest finally comes off, some of you will feel guilty, like you don't deserve the rest, like you need to earn the lightness back through suffering, like peace without a fight can't possibly be from God. And that guilt? That is not the Holy Spirit. That is a habit, a deeply embedded, decades-long habit of mistaking chaos for calling. Be careful not to call your freedom boring just because it doesn't feel like your old battle. The house is finally warm. Don't open the front door just because you're not used to the heat. The chains just fell off your wrists. Don't bend down and pick them up just because your arms feel strange without them. God cleaned your garden. Don't go back and replant the weeds just because the soil looks too open. Some people around you will not understand this quieter version of you. They'll mistake your peace for passivity. They'll call your boundaries coldness. They'll say, "You've changed," like that's an accusation. Let them. You don't owe anyone a performance of your old pain to prove your faith is real. Because here is what Psalm 46:10 says with absolute authority. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy, not be loud, not be constantly proving. Be still. And in that stillness, if you protect it, if you guard it, if you refuse to let loneliness or habit or guilt drag you back through a door God already shut, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your hearing changes. You start picking up things in the spirit you never could before. Directions you used to miss. Whispers you used to drown out with noise and chaos and emotional management. Because peace does something pressure never could. It makes you sensitive to the voice of God in a way that years of striving never will. If you are still here right now, this message is for the ones God is actively resetting. Go to the comments and type, "I will not reopen the door." Because what happens next when your hearing sharpens and heaven starts speaking into that new silence, that is where your real story begins. Something is different about you right now. Not on the outside. Nobody else may have noticed yet. But you have felt it. The way you walk into a room and read it faster. The way someone starts talking and you already know before they finish their second sentence whether they mean what they are saying. The way God feels closer. That is not your imagination running wild. That is your spirit finally operating the way it was designed to operate. Here is what nobody explained to you during all those years of pressure. The noise did not only exhaust you, it distorted your hearing. Think about that for one moment. Every anxious thought you carried, every sleepless night you spent rehearsing conversations that never happened, every year you spent bracing for the next blow, all of that static was sitting directly between you and the voice of God. Psalm 46:10 does not say, "Work harder to find me." It does not say, "Pray louder." It says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still first, then knowing follows. You could not be still. Not really. Not with everything pressing down on you. So the knowing was partial, the hearing was muffled, and you blamed yourself for not having enough faith when the truth was the pressure was simply too loud. Picture muddy water in a glass. You cannot see through it. You cannot see the bottom, but you did not break the glass. You did not fail the water. You simply needed to stop shaking it. Heaven stopped shaking you. And now, chosen one, the sediment is settling. The bottom is becoming visible, and what you are beginning to see about your own life, about the people around you, about what God has been building in the dark, it is going to take your breath away. This is why Elijah did not find God in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the great and powerful wind that tore the mountains apart. God was in none of that. He was in the still small voice after all the noise collapsed. You have been through your earthquakes. You have survived your fires. You have stood in winds that should have knocked you flat. Now comes the still small voice. And here is the shift you need to understand. When the pressure lifts, your discernment does not just improve, it sharpens to a level that will genuinely surprise you. People who used to confuse you now reveal themselves in the first 5 minutes. Decisions that once paralyzed you for weeks now come with a calm and sudden clarity. Prayer stops feeling like a desperate negotiation and starts feeling like a conversation between two people who actually know each other. Isaiah 30:15 says it plainly, "In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength." Not in striving, not in pushing, in quietness. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming precise. There is a difference between someone who swings wildly and someone who waits for the right moment. Pressure made you swing. Stillness is teaching you to wait. And the ones who wait with a sharp spirit, those are the ones who never miss. Jesus said it directly, "My sheep hear my voice." Not my sheep who pray the longest, not my sheep who suffer the most. My sheep hear my voice. You were always his sheep, but the static from your own survival was interrupting the signal. Now the signal is clearing. And what you are beginning to receive in your gut, in your spirit, in those quiet 3 a.m. moments when something just drops into your mind like a stone into still water that is not random thought. That is God talking to a soul that can finally hear. You are not just feeling less weight, chosen one. You are perceiving more truth. And this is where it gets serious. Because God does not remove weight just to make you comfortable. He does not quiet the storm so you can take a nap. He removes it so you can carry something holier, something that required a steadier hand than pressure ever could have produced in you. This lighter season is not your reward for surviving. It is your preparation for responsibility. The storm passed so the lighthouse could finally be seen. And chosen one, you are the lighthouse. You were always the lighthouse. But a lighthouse surrounded by its own storm cannot guide anyone to shore. Now the sky is clearing. Now your light is visible. Now someone out there, someone drowning in the exact storm you just walked out of, is going to look up and see you standing. Still lit, still standing. And that sight alone is going to save them. So pause right here. Let this land where it needs to land. Maybe God did not go silent all those years. Maybe the pressure was simply too loud. And if that is true, if God was speaking the entire time and you are only now beginning to hear it clearly, then what you are about to receive in this next season will make everything you endured finally make sense. Because what heaven removes weight to place in your hands is never small. Now I need you to hear this carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not comfort. It is not a spiritual pat on the back. It is not heaven saying, "Poor thing, you've suffered enough, here's some relief." What is happening to you right now is far more serious than that. God did not lighten your load because he felt sorry for you. God lightened your load because where he is taking you next, you cannot arrive there carrying what you were carrying before. Think about that. Sit with it for a moment. You cannot move with holy precision when you are bent over under the weight of old wounds. You cannot steward sacred opportunity when wounded urgency is driving every decision. You cannot clearly lead, clearly speak, clearly build, clearly discern when exhaustion has been your constant companion for years. Heaven is not comforting you. Heaven is recalibrating you. There is a difference. And that difference changes everything about how you understand this season. Here is the question nobody is asking you, but God is asking right now. What if the clearest, most powerful, most impactful chapter of your entire life is not behind you, but directly ahead? What if everything you endured, every silent night, every unanswered prayer, every season where you held yourself together with nothing but faith and sheer stubbornness, what if all of that was not the story? What if all of that was just the training ground for the story that starts right now? You need to hear this if you are in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s. This is not winding down. This is clearing up. Your later years are not accidental leftovers from a life that already peaked. They are not the epilogue. They are not the slow fade. God does not waste seasoned souls. He deploys them. Look at Moses. He didn't lead a nation in his 30s. He led it at 80. 40 years in the wilderness was not punishment. It was preparation. The humility he needed, the patience he needed, the intimacy with God he needed, none of that could be rushed. It had to be lived. Look at Caleb, 85 years old, standing before Joshua. And what does he say? "Give me this mountain, not give me rest, not give me a quiet corner. Give me the hardest assignment left on the map." Because Caleb knew age had not diminished him. Age had made him ready. Look at Anna in the temple, widowed young. Decades of quiet, faithful, unseen service. And then at the very end of what the world would call her useful years, God placed her in the exact moment when the Savior of the world was presented. She was there, not by accident, by appointment. And Abraham and Sarah, receiving the impossible, not at the beginning of their journey, but after the journey had done its work in them. Do you see the pattern? God does not entrust his heaviest assignments to the untested. He entrusts them to the ones whose suffering taught tenderness, to the ones that loss taught restraint, to the ones that silence taught how to truly listen. That is you. The weight that lifted was not random. It was intentional removal, like a runway being cleared before takeoff, like a ship captain removing unnecessary cargo before a long and critical voyage, like a master musician retuning an instrument, not because it is broken, but because the concert is about to begin and every note must be exact. God is retuning you, not replacing you, not retiring you, retuning you. And here is the climax of everything I am saying to you today. Life feels lighter because heaven is no longer preparing you merely to endure. Heaven is preparing you to move into rooms you've never entered, to speak words that carry weight you couldn't have carried 10 years ago, to love people with a depth that only comes from having been broken and rebuilt by the hand of God Himself. Receive this today. Your age does not disqualify your assignment. It may be the very thing that finally makes you ready, not despite what you've been through. The scars are not evidence of failure. They are credentials. They are proof that you were trusted with fires that would have destroyed someone less chosen. And now the fire has done its work. The weight has been removed. The runway is clear. Which brings me to something you must not ignore. Not everyone around you is going to understand the version of you that emerges from this lighter season. Some people in your life only knew how to relate to your burden. They were comfortable with your struggle. They understood your pain. But this new version, this lighter, clearer, stronger, more purposeful version of you is going to feel unfamiliar to them. And that is not your problem to solve. Because what comes next in this message will explain exactly why some people cannot go where God is taking you, and why that is not a tragedy. It is a mercy. Now, here is where it gets real. Because the lightness you feel, that quiet, unexpected relief, it is not landing the same way for everyone around you. And that confusion, that subtle friction you are sensing from certain people in your life, that is not your imagination either. Chosen one, let me say something that may be the most honest thing anyone has said to you in years. Some people in your life were never bonded to your purpose. They were bonded to your pain. They knew how to find you when you were overwhelmed. They showed up when you were confused, when you were desperate, when you were giving everything you had and getting nothing back. They were comfortable with that version of you, the version that explained herself, that apologized first, that stayed too long, that answered every call at midnight, that carried everyone else's weight on top of her own. That version of you had no boundaries, and that made you easy to access. But now you are quieter, slower to react. You do not explain yourself the same way. You do not chase conversations that drain you. You do not rush to rescue people from consequences they chose. And suddenly, without a single argument, without anything being said, certain people feel shut out. Not because you became cold, because you became whole. And whole people are harder to manipulate. Think about Joseph. His own brothers threw him in a pit, sold him, told his father he was dead. And years later, when God had rebuilt Joseph into something unrecognizable, something powerful, something settled, those same brothers stood before him and did not even know who he was. Not because his face had changed, because his spirit had. Genesis 45. Joseph wept. Not in bitterness, in fullness. He had become someone his old environment could no longer contain. That is you right now. David outgrew Saul's house. Not because David became arrogant, because David's anointing made Saul's insecurity unbearable. 1 Samuel 18. Saul gave David honor publicly, then threw a spear at him privately. Why? Because David's peace exposed Saul's torment. Your peace is doing the same thing to certain people around you right now. Your peace confronts people who benefited from your unrest. Some people miss the version of you that had no boundaries. Some people miss the version of you that was always available, always apologizing, always second-guessing herself. That version was familiar. That version was manageable. This version settled, grounded, unbothered. This version unsettles them. And here is the part that will shake you if you let it sink in. Jesus, the Son of God, perfect in love, perfect in truth, was misunderstood by the people closest to him. John 7:5 says, his own brothers did not believe in him. Mark 3:21 says, his own family thought he had lost his mind. If the people who shared his bloodline could not understand what he was carrying, what makes you think the people in your circle are obligated to understand what God is doing in you? They are not. And waiting for their approval before you walk into your next season is one of the most expensive delays a chosen one can choose. When your soul gets lighter, your circle often gets smaller. That is not failure, that is filtering. Think of a table, fewer chairs but more peace in the room. Think of a tree in late October. The branches do not fight to keep the leaves, they release them so that spring can breathe. Think of a bone that was once broken. When it heals, it does not bend the same way anymore. That is not damage, that is density. That is strength that was not there before. You did not become distant, you became difficult to manipulate. And the people who are uncomfortable with your peace, they are not bad people. Most of them are just unhealed people. They built their relationship with you on a foundation of your overflow, your sacrifice, your emotional availability under pressure. And now that the foundation has shifted, they do not know where to stand. That is their work to do, not yours. Your only assignment right now is to protect what God just gave you. Because here is the danger, and this is where I need you to stay locked in. Not every season of quiet is holy. Not every withdrawal is wisdom. Not every distance is discernment. So how do you know whether this new lightness is truly from God, or whether it is emotional detachment dressed up as spiritual maturity? That is the question that separates chosen ones who step fully into their next season from chosen ones who almost made it. And the answer is coming in the next part of this message. If this section hit something real in you, if you recognized a relationship, a dynamic, a pattern that you have never had the words for until right now, stay with me, because what comes next will give you the discernment markers to test this lighter feeling and know without any doubt whether heaven authored it. And trust me, you need to know the difference. But here is where I need to stop you, because not every lightness is holy. And this is the part most people skip, and it costs them everything. Some people feel lighter because they quit, because they walked away from God, from commitment, from the hard and sacred work of becoming. That kind of lightness is not freedom. That is free fall dressed up as relief. So before you celebrate what you're feeling, you need to ask yourself one honest question. Is this peace or is this escape? Because they feel almost identical in the first 48 hours. And chosen one, the enemy knows that. He has sent counterfeit lightness before, a false peace that feels like arrival but leads straight into a wilderness you never saw coming. So how do you know the difference? Here is how. When the lightness you feel is holy, it produces peace, but not recklessness. You feel settled, not scattered. You feel still, not numb. There is a difference between a soul that has finally exhaled and a soul that has simply gone cold. Philippians 4:7 says, "The peace of God surpasses all understanding," not all feeling, all understanding. Meaning holy peace doesn't always make logical sense, but it never leads you into chaos. It never gives you permission to be careless with sacred things. Holy lightness makes you gentler, not harder. If what you're feeling is making you dismissive of people, dismissive of prayer, dismissive of your own convictions, that is not God lifting a burden. That is something else entirely loosening your foundation. But if you are kinder this week than you were last month, if you are slower to anger, slower to judgment, quicker to forgive, that is the fingerprint of heaven on your chest. Holy lightness reduces striving, but it never reduces devotion. Let me say that again because somebody needs to hear it twice. It reduces striving. It does not reduce devotion. You stop performing for approval. You stop exhausting yourself to prove your worth to God or to people. But you do not stop showing up. You do not stop praying. You do not stop pursuing what God planted in you. The difference is the motive. Before, you were running from fear. Now, you are walking from love. Romans 8:15 says, "You did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you received the spirit of adoption." That spirit does not make you lazy, it makes you free. And free people are the most dangerous, most devoted, most effective people God has ever used. Holy lightness also helps you release what is expired without hatred. This is a big one, because some of you have been holding on to situations, to relationships, to versions of yourself, not because they still serve you, but because letting go felt like betrayal, like giving up, like admitting defeat. But chosen one, releasing what God has already closed, is not defeat, it is obedience. Think about setting down heavy luggage at the right terminal. You are not losing your bags. You are putting them exactly where they belong, so you can board what is actually meant to carry you forward. You cannot board your next assignment dragging the weight of your last season. Think about a river after a blockage finally clears. The water does not mourn the dam that broke. It simply flows, stronger, cleaner, faster than before. Think about putting on a pair of glasses after years of smudged lenses. The world did not change. Your vision did. And suddenly everything you were straining to see becomes undeniable. That is alignment, not illusion, not numbness, not spiritual laziness, not denial. Alignment. And here is the statement that I need you to carry for the rest of your life. You are not feeling lighter because you stopped caring. You are feeling lighter because you stopped carrying what was never assigned to you. Read that again. Let it land. That weight was never yours. The guilt that was not your guilt. The shame that belonged to someone else's story. The burden of fixing people God never asked you to fix. The silence you kept for decades to protect people who never once protected you. You carried it faithfully. You bled quietly. You kept showing up, even when showing up cost you everything. And God saw every single moment of it. But chosen one, the semester is over. The training ground has served its purpose. And what you feel lifting is not your strength. It is your assignment to suffer in that particular way, finally reaching its expiration date. Now, before we close this section, I need you to do something right now. Whisper this over your life. Say it quietly. Mean every word. Lord, teach me the difference between peace and passivity. Say it like you mean it, because that prayer right there, that discernment prayer, is the one that protects everything God is about to build in this next season of your life. And that brings us to the final truth of the 27th of March 2026. Because for some of you, this date will not just mark relief. It will mark the beginning of your visible transition. And what comes next is the part heaven has been preparing you for all along. Chosen one, we have arrived. Not at an ending, at a threshold. And I need you to feel the weight of what I am about to say, because this is not encouragement. This is not a motivational closing. This is a divine declaration over your life. What lifted was not just pressure. What lifted was an old version of you. Read that again. Let it settle into your bones. The person who needed that weight to define them, the one who identified with the struggle, who wore the burden like a name tag, that version of you has been quietly retired by heaven itself, not punished, Not abandoned, retired, because it finished its assignment. Ecclesiastes 3 tells us there is a time for everything under heaven, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. You have been in the breaking down season for so long that you forgot dancing was even written into your story. But God never forgot. He was counting every single day. The 27th of March 2026 is your spiritual boundary line. On one side, survival, bracing, carrying, explaining, apologizing for your own wounds. On the other side, authority, clarity, holy selectiveness, peace that does not shatter when someone raises their voice or walks out of the room. This is not heaven forgetting your pain. This is heaven acknowledging that the season built exactly what it needed to build inside you. Psalm 30:5 says, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Some of you have had a very long night, years of it, decades of it, and you stayed. You prayed through the dark when God felt silent. You held on when every logical reason to let go was screaming at you. That was not weakness. That was the making of someone God can trust with what comes next. 2 Corinthians 4:17 calls it a light and momentary trouble, achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Now listen, the Apostle Paul wrote that from a prison cell. He called chains a momentary inconvenience because he could see what was being built on the other side of them. And beloved, I am telling you right now, your chains were building something too. Discernment, restraint, the kind of wisdom you cannot buy, borrow, or learn in a classroom. You are not exiting this season empty-handed. You are exiting with discernment that protects your next chapter. You are exiting with restraint that keeps you from running back to what God removed. You are exiting with clarity that cuts through manipulation like a sword. And you are exiting with the kind of peace that hell cannot easily interrupt, because it was forged in fire, not handed to you on a comfortable Sunday morning. Now let me speak directly to you, yes, you, the one who has been quietly wondering if it is too late. The years were not wasted, every single one of them. The tears you cried alone in a room where nobody saw you, God counted them. Psalm 56:8 says, "He collects every tear in a bottle. He keeps a record. Not one midnight hour was invisible to him. Not one silent battle went unwitnessed." You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not a casualty of time. You are a chosen one, entering the cleanest, calmest, sharpest chapter of your entire life. Isaiah 43:18 says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Can you feel it? Not as excitement, not as noise, but as that quiet, undeniable knowing that something in your life has fundamentally shifted direction. Life feels lighter because your soul is no longer arguing with what God has already decided to remove. Stop fighting for what heaven has already closed. Stop knocking on doors God bolted shut to protect your future. Stop explaining your peace to people who were only comfortable with your pain. Galatians 6:9 says, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up." The proper time, not your time, not the world's time, heaven's time. And March 27 is heaven's timestamp over your life. The question is not whether the shift is real. You already feel it. The question is, will you honor it? Will you walk into this new season without dragging the old rooms behind you? Think of dawn breaking over a New York City skyline after the longest, most brutal winter the city has ever seen. Not loud, not dramatic, just light slowly, undeniably, permanently replacing the dark. That is how your life is changing right now. Not with chaos, with light. If you receive this word today, go to the comments and write, I will not carry what God removed. Share this with someone who has quietly been coming out of a heavy season and doesn't yet have the words for what they're feeling. And if this message found you exactly on time, stay close. Because what feels lighter today may be the very first sign that heaven is repositioning your whole life. Your morning has arrived, chosen one. Walk into it.